This week on Science, Tech, and American Life, Texas invests nearly $1 billion in semiconductor manufacturing. The FDA addresses testing errors in a produce outbreak investigation. Wildfires across the West send smoke into the Northeast as temperatures surge. Michigan restructures renewable energy oversight, and Connecticut establishes new solar facility tax policy. The stories shaping America's technological and environmental landscape. Texas is channeling nearly $950 million into semiconductor manufacturing and research through its Semiconductor Innovation Fund. The fund has distributed $512.3 million in grants to 29 separate projects, expected to generate $9.3 billion in total capital investment and create 2,689 direct jobs. Major recipients include Texas Instruments, which received $33.6 million to expand its wafer fabrication facility in Richardson, and significant commitments to research institutions. Texas A&M University broke ground on a $226 million semiconductor research facility in Bryan, while the University of Texas at Austin secured $440 million for its own research center. The state already operates 57 semiconductor facilities employing more than 47,000 workers. The push reflects broader efforts to rebuild domestic semiconductor production, as U.S. manufacturing capacity has declined from 40% of global output to just 10%. The FDA has confirmed a false positive in cyclospora testing of lettuce from Taylor Farm's Central Mexico facility. The agency said a sample initially tested positive on Saturday, but subsequent quality checks found no true amplification of the parasite, leading the FDA to reverse its earlier finding. According to the FDA, no confirmed samples of Taylor Farm's lettuce have tested positive for cyclospora as of Sunday. Acting FDA Commissioner Kyle Diamantis emphasized that the laboratory error does not alter the investigation. The outbreak has sickened more than 1,600 people across 5 states, with cases confirmed in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Shredded lettuce from Taylor Farm sold in Taco Bell restaurants remains identified as a potential outbreak source. The recall advisory remains in effect. Smoke from more than 830 wildfires burning across Canada is blanketing the upper Midwest and Northeast, creating hazardous air quality conditions across multiple states. The smoke began spreading Wednesday, with visible haze descending on major population centers from the Great Lakes through New England. An orange haze covered the New York City skyline as air quality deteriorated across the region. The smoke is expected to stretch from Buffalo to Philadelphia, with heavy concentrations in Green Bay, Milwaukee, Detroit, and other major cities. New York City officials issued an air quality health advisory for the entire state Thursday, as concentrations reached unhealthy levels, and the city began distributing free masks. The hazardous conditions coincide with a severe heat wave, with heat indices reaching 104 degrees in New York City, 105 degrees in Washington, D.C., and 107 degrees in Philadelphia Wednesday. Weather patterns are expected to bring relief Friday and Saturday as rain moves through affected regions. Utah communities are bracing for impact as the nation's largest wildfire continues to spread across the state. The blaze is forcing residents to confront threats of property loss, evacuation, and long-term environmental damage. Wildfires have intensified across the American West in recent years, driven by prolonged drought, rising temperatures, and accumulated dry vegetation. Utah has been among the most frequently affected states, with fire seasons growing longer and more destructive over the past decade. Large-scale wildfires of this magnitude strain local emergency resources and require coordination between state agencies, the U.S. Forest Service, and federal officials. Evacuation orders and air quality warnings are being deployed as the fire advances toward populated areas. Western states have called for additional federal resources and long-term land management strategies, including controlled burns and forest thinning. As firefighting crews work to establish containment lines, affected communities monitor conditions closely. State and federal officials are expected to provide updated containment figures and resource assessments in the coming days. Michigan's Public Act 233 has fundamentally reshaped how the state approves large-scale renewable energy projects. Passed 3 years ago, the law creates a two-track system. Developers can seek local permits from counties or municipalities that adopt a state-approved ordinance, or bypass local control entirely by petitioning the Michigan Public Service Commission directly. The law applies to solar and battery projects exceeding 50 megawatts and wind installations larger than 100 megawatts. If localities adopt compatible ordinances meeting state standards, including setbacks, sound restrictions, and height limits, developers must start locally. 10 projects currently await state-level approval. Some communities like Green Lake Township are drafting compliant ordinances to retain influence. Others have declined to regulate utility-scale development. A Michigan Court of Appeals ruling in May largely upheld the Commission's interpretation of the statute. Jake Kirby, who manages 1,500 acres in Wexford Township, watches as his county weighs whether to establish such an ordinance to govern a proposed Ranger Power solar array on his property. Connecticut has enacted a new tax framework for large commercial solar facilities, establishing a fixed annual property tax of $10,000 per megawatt of generating capacity for ground-mounted arrays exceeding 1 megawatt in output. The measure, part of an omnibus energy bill passed during the 2025 legislative session, takes effect July 1st, 2026. State Representative Jamie Foster, who authored the legislation, said the standardized approach simplifies cost projections for developers and financing. The framework resolves years of disputes over property valuations that strained municipal budgets and prompted litigation. Residential rooftop solar systems remain exempt from property taxation. Developers and municipal leaders are already negotiating tax arrangements ahead of the deadline. The National Science Foundation has awarded the University of Alaska Fairbanks $15 million to establish a critical minerals accelerator engine. The designation positions UAF's Geophysical Institute to lead one of 12 technology innovation centers selected nationwide. Unlike UAF's existing Critical Minerals Research Collaborative, the new center will focus on moving discoveries toward commercial application and workforce training. The initiative will coordinate with more than 40 partners spanning private industry, native corporations, academic institutions, and nonprofits. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, 56 of Alaska's 60 classified critical minerals are present in the state. The center aims to develop domestic supply chains for materials essential to national defense, energy infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing. The 2-year initial grant could expand to as much as $160 million over 10 years. Vermont has restructured its vehicle inspection system, effective July 1st, to focus inspectors exclusively on immediate safety hazards. Under the new framework, inspectors will identify non-safety deficiencies like cosmetic issues and rust, but will notify owners rather than automatically fail vehicles. The updated inspection manual, effective August 1st, eliminates automatic failures for light surface rust on brake components, small windshield chips that don't obstruct vision, and removes headlamp aiming requirements. Lawmakers directed the Department of Motor Vehicles to revise criteria for tires, brakes, lighting, suspension, and other safety systems. Representative Matt Walker said the revision aims to reduce burden on Vermont residents while maintaining focus on vehicle safety and operation. The changes follow New Hampshire's decision to end mandatory annual inspections in 2025. The Trump administration announced a significant shift in grizzly bear management Tuesday, proposing to transfer day-to-day oversight to individual western states while keeping the animals on the federal endangered species list. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum made the announcement near Big Sky, Montana, attended by the governors of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho. The new rule amends the Endangered Species Act to delegate management authority to states, but does not remove grizzlies from the threatened species list, distinguishing it from 2 prior delisting attempts in 2007 and 2017, both struck down in court. Grizzly populations in the greater Yellowstone region and near Glacier National Park have each grown to approximately 1,000 bears since federal protection began in 1975, when fewer than 600 remained. Environmental groups have already signaled plans to challenge the rule in court, citing their successful litigation against previous delisting efforts. Steubenville City Council has voted to lease 157 acres of public land for natural gas extraction in a $1.1 million deal with Oklahoma-based Ascent Resources. The leased parcels span 19 city-owned properties, including nearly 100 acres beneath Beatty Park, which sits adjacent to Union Cemetery, a site on the National Register of Historic Places. The agreement also covers roughly 20 acres within Jim Woods Park, bordering an elementary school. One council member voted against the measure, expressing concern about the ecological value of the parks. Steubenville is believed to be the first Ohio municipality to seek commercial fracking rights on its own public lands. The city has not yet determined how to allocate the lease revenue. Ascent Resources can now move forward with development plans, though the company has not announced a drilling timeline. Severe flooding in Texas's Hill Country has destroyed or heavily damaged 135 homes in Kerr County, with an additional 490 homes sustaining damage. Governor Greg Abbott visited the flood-affected areas Monday following an aerial survey. The Guadalupe River crested at 37.08 feet in Comfort before receding. Abbott cautioned that subsiding water levels do not signal the threat has fully passed, as water aggregating downstream could still pose hazards to communities further south. About 100 businesses in the county also suffered damage. According to Abbott, the majority of impacted residents live in owner-occupied single-family homes, indicating substantial need for long-term housing and recovery assistance. Downstream communities including Cotulla, Tilden, and Carrizo Springs face continued flooding risk. A tropical system is expected to reach the Texas coast Friday morning, potentially compounding flooding challenges. That's This Week in Science, Technology, and American Life from the American Star News. For complete coverage of every story in this briefing, visit theamericanstarnews.com and subscribe so you never miss an edition.